Jebel Ali covers 13.4 square kilometers of the Persian Gulf, but 24 years after the dredgers arrived, nobody lives on it. Dubai paid for that island twice, and it has not collected on either bill yet. The first payment moved roughly 170 million cubic meters of sand and rock into open water between 2002 and 2008. The second payment is happening right now, and it is measured in billions of dirhams of construction contracts signed in the last 2 years. At first, this might just seem like a normal delay. Big projects run late. Everybody knows that. But this is not a delay. Jebel Ali was stopped in late 2008 when the global financial crisis reached Dubai, and it sat as bare sand for 13 years. The workers left, the equipment left, and the shape stayed. You could see it from an aircraft window the whole time. 16 fronds, a 17-kilometer crescent breakwater, and nothing on any of it. An island the size of a small city, finished as geography and abandoned as a place. Think about the people that stranded. The contractors demobilized. The dredging crews went to other jobs in other countries. And the buyers who had already paid deposits on the first version of this island in 2007 and 2008 spent the next several years finding out what an off-plan contract is actually worth when a developer stops. Some of them are still in the property market here, some of them are not. Now Dubai is finishing it. Nakheel has said the first villa handovers begin later this year, and 723 villas are under construction contracts across fronds K to P. Here is the thing that gets left out of every announcement. A villa is not a home. A villa is a box. Before anybody sleeps in one of those boxes, 6 separate systems have to be working at the same time, on an island that is 110 kilometers of coastline with a single connection to the mainland. I am going to count those 6 down. Not the ones in the brochure, the ones that decide whether this becomes a neighborhood or a very expensive sandbar with houses on it. Number 6. The land itself. Jebel Ali is about twice the area of Jumeirah. It was built the same way, by dredging sand from the seabed and placing it inside a rock crescent, and the crescent alone is 17 kilometers long and 200 meters wide, built from rock hauled out of 16 local quarries. Reclaimed ground does not behave like natural ground. It settles, it compacts unevenly. It has to be surcharged, meaning you pile extra weight on it and wait, sometimes for a year or more, before you can build anything that has to stay level. Dubai already knows this, because it did it on Jumeirah in the 2000s, and the engineers who worked those jobs are still in the city. On Jumeirah, the surcharge and ground improvement work took years before the first villa was handed over in 2006, and the surveyors who monitored the settlement plates were reading them long after the marketing campaign had moved on to the next project. In August 2024, a contract went out for another 13 million cubic meters of sand dredging. That is 22 years after the first dredger arrived. The island is still being made. This is what PT Team exists for. We look at the part of a famous project that never appears in the render, and we follow the money that has to keep moving after the launch event is over. Subscribe now, because the next 5 systems are where the story stops being about sand and starts being about whether anybody can actually live there. Number 5. The breakwater. That 17-kilometer crescent is not decoration. It is the only thing standing between 110 kilometers of new shoreline and the open Gulf. Breakwaters are maintenance objects. Rock armor shifts in storms. Individual stones roll. Somebody has to survey the profile, find the low spots, and put rock back. On Jumeirah, this has been an ongoing program for 20 years, and it is the reason the beaches are still there. There are marine contractors in Dubai whose entire business is putting rock back where the sea moved it, working from survey drawings that get updated after every serious storm. Jebel Ali has more than twice the coastline to defend, and it had almost nobody defending it for 13 of the last 18 years. Nobody has published what condition that crescent is in after sitting through 13 summers unattended, and I looked for it. If a marine engineer watching this has seen that survey, I would rather have the real answer than be right. Number 4. Freshwater Inn. An island of 1,700 villas and 6,000 apartments, planned for something like 35,000 families at full build, needs desalinated water pumped across a causeway and then distributed along every one of 16 fronds. Dubai Electricity and Water Authority does this well. It is one of the most reliable utilities in the region, but the pipe still has to be laid, pressurized, tested, and then maintained by somebody, in ground that is salt on every side. Buried steel and buried concrete in coastal fill is the same problem the Burj Khalifa Foundation has, without a landmarks budget attached. A leaking main under a frond is not a headline. It is a truck, a crew, and a hole in a road that residents paid 18 million dirhams a villa to live on. There is a geometric problem here that does not exist in a normal suburb. A palm shape is almost all edge. 110 kilometers of coastline wrapped around 13.4 square kilometers of land means the pipe runs are long, the branches are dead ends, and water sitting in a dead-end branch in 105-degree heat does not stay good water. Utilities engineers deal with this by flushing, by looping where they can, and by sizing mains for the population that eventually arrives rather than the 40 families who move in first. Every one of those choices costs more up front and saves money later, which is exactly the kind of decision that gets revisited when a budget review lands in a slow year. Number 3. Water out. This is the one nobody puts in the render, and it is the one I would look at hardest if I were buying. Groundwater under parts of Dubai is rising by roughly 20 centimeters a year. That is 8 inches every year, and it is the Emirates' own number. In October 2025, Dubai Municipality Drainage Department announced a subsea outfall called Resilient Future Flow, 4 kilometers of pipeline, 2 meters in diameter, discharging 9 cubic meters per second into the sea. Fahd Al-Awadi, the official who runs the drainage system at Dubai Municipality, explained the project in terms of exactly that rise. It sits inside a larger program called Tasrif, budgeted at 30 billion dirhams, roughly $8 billion, aiming to lift drainage capacity by 700% by 2033. Now read the list of districts Tasrif protects first. Jebel Ali is on it. Al Maktoum City is on it. Expo City and the Airport District are on it. Dubai is spending $8 billion to get water out of the ground in the same corner of the emirate where it is building its second Palm Island. Those two facts appear in different press releases, written by different teams, and almost nobody puts them side by side. I am not saying the island is going to flood. I am saying the drainage program that protects that district is not finished until 2033, and the first families are supposed to move in during 2026 or 2027. There are 6 or 7 years between those dates, and somebody is going to live through them. Run the arithmetic on the gap. If the groundwater under that district keeps climbing at 8 inches a year, then between the first handover and the completion of Tasrif, it rises somewhere around 4 feet. Every meter of buried pipe, every basement slab, every buried electrical duct on that island is being built against a water level that will not be the water level for very long. The engineers designing it know that, and they will build in margin. The question is, how much margin? And margin costs money, and money on a residential project is decided by people who are not engineers. Number 2. Power and cooling. 35,000 families in Gulf summer means air conditioning that never stops. In Dubai, that usually means district cooling, a central plant chilling water and pumping it out to every building, instead of a compressor on every roof. District cooling is efficient, and it is also a single point of failure. When the plant stops, the whole district gets hot at once. Palm Jumeirah taught Dubai this. So did the wider city during the 2008 slowdown, when half-built districts sat with utilities stubbed out and nothing connected to them. Here is the human version of that arithmetic. A plant operator on a district cooling station works 12-hour shifts watching pressures and temperatures. In August, when the outside air is over 105 degrees Fahrenheit, that operator is the difference between an ordinary evening and 6,000 apartments calling the building manager at the same time. He is paid a fraction of 1% of the price of a single villa on the island he is keeping cool. That is the part that should sit badly with you. The villas start at 18 million dirhams. Nakheel awarded 5 billion dirhams of villa contracts in 2024. and more than 3.5 billion dirhams of further contracts in April 2026 for fronds A through F. The design work went to a list of well-known firms, and Skidmore, Owings and Merrill drew the Friday Mosque. Every one of those numbers made a press release. The salary of the man watching the chiller pressures did not. Number 1. The system nobody counts. Continuity. Jebel Ali is the only megaproject in Dubai that has already failed this test once, in public, and everybody watched. It started in October 2002. It stopped in late 2008. It was not restarted in 2009, or 2012, or 2015. Nakheel restructured. The Emirate restructured. The island stayed empty while Dubai built other things. Revival talk began around 2021. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum approved a revised masterplan in May 2023, and villa sales relaunched in September 2023, with prices starting at 18 million dirhams. By mid-2025, more than 700 units had sold. So the island has now been sold twice, to two different generations of buyers, on two different master plans, 21 years apart. Think about what that means for the people who bought in the first round. Some of them waited more than a decade for a project that was not cancelled and was not built. Some got refunds, some got swapped into other Nakheel projects, some litigated. Dubai Land Department and the Real Estate Regulatory Agency exist in their current form partly because of what happened to buyers in 2008 and 2009. The escrow rules that protect an off-plan buyer in Dubai today were written by officials who watched the last version of this island stop. That is the honest, uncomfortable version of the story. The regulation got better because the first round of buyers got hurt. Now let me be careful, because there is a version of this video that would be dishonest and would probably get more views. I am not predicting that Jebel Ali fails again. The conditions in 2026 are not the conditions in 2008. Dubai's property market has been strong. The contracts are signed with real contractors including Shapoorji Pallonji Group. The developer is now inside Dubai Holding rather than standing alone, and Khalid Al Malek, the chief executive of Dubai Holding Real Estate, has put his name to a handover date in public. Those are not nothing. A named executive with a published date is a form of accountability that did not exist last time. What I am saying is narrower. 5 of those 6 systems are engineering. Engineering is solvable, and Dubai is good at it. The 6th is not engineering at all. The 6th is whether an institution keeps spending on an unfinished thing during a bad year, and that is the one that broke last time. There is a detail that makes this concrete. When you buy a villa on a frond, you are not really buying a house. You are buying a share in 6 systems, and you have no vote on any of them. You cannot inspect the breakwater. You cannot audit the drainage. You cannot see the district cooling contract. The building inspector who signs off your villa is checking the box, not the island. That asymmetry is the actual product being sold on Jebel Ali, and it is being sold at 18 million dirhams a unit. There is one more group of people worth naming here, and they never get named. The men who will actually build these 723 villas are mostly migrant construction workers on 2- or 3-year contracts. They will work through summers where the outside air passes 105 degrees Fahrenheit, under a midday work ban that runs through the hottest months. Not one of them will ever be able to afford a room on the island they are building, and the entire wage bill for the labor on a villa is a rounding error against its 18 million dirham price. That is not a Dubai fact. That is a construction fact almost everywhere. It is just unusually visible when the finished product costs this much. So what is this island, honestly? It is not a failure. Calling it a failure is lazy, and it is the thing every other video about it does. Dubai finished the hard geographic part 18 years ago and has now committed real money and real contractors to the rest of it. 723 villas under contract is not a rendering. Buildings are going up. It is also not the thing in the brochure. The brochure sells a beach and a view. What is actually being built is a dependency. 35,000 families whose ordinary Tuesday requires a breakwater to hold, a cooling plant to run, a pipeline to stay sealed, and a drainage program that will not be complete for another 7 years. What expired here is an assumption, and it is the same assumption that shows up under every ambitious coastline in the world. The assumption was that the hard part is building the thing. On reclaimed land in a hot, salt, low-lying place, the hard part is the 50 years afterwards, and nobody sells that part because there is no photograph of it. Dubai will probably deliver these villas. The question is not delivery. The question is what the service charge looks like in 2040, and who is still around to argue about it. And there is a version of this that goes well, which is worth saying out loud, because most videos about Dubai will not say it. If the breakwater holds, if Tasrif lands close to schedule, if the cooling plant is built with real redundancy instead of the cheapest compliant option, then in 15 years Jebel Ali is simply a place where people live, and all of this reads as unnecessary worry. That outcome is entirely possible. It just depends on decisions being made right now by managers whose names are not in any press release, about line items that no buyer will ever see. That is the trade every owner on that island is making, whether anybody explained it or not. You can inspect a villa in an afternoon. You cannot inspect an institution. Nothing here is a claim that Jebel Ali is unsafe, or that any specific buyer will lose money, and none of it is financial, investment, or policy advice. One question, and I want a specific answer. If you have lived on reclaimed land anywhere in the world, Palm Jumeirah, a Florida barrier fill, a Dutch polder, a Hong Kong new town, what went wrong first, and in what year of living there did it show up? Not the scary version, the boring one. That is the number that would actually tell somebody what they are buying, and I have never seen anyone publish it.